talked a few years ago here. One story she told you, one with a new guy, there wasn't a stick in the back. And anyway, all this stuff. Is that story in the book?
No, it's not. Because that's the day I got shot down.
Yeah.
Now a little background. There were only 136 of us who flew the mission. Of the 136, 23 of us were killed in action, doing our job. Another approximately 80 of us had shrapnel damage, bullet holes, or actually knife wounds due to hand-to-hand combat. So it was nowhere near as safe as it was in Vietnam. But then again, we volunteered, and we enjoyed every minute of it. We lost 120 airplanes were shot out from underneath us. There's one guy who got shot down 8 times. We called him Magnet Ass, Fred Platt. Fred Platt, I'll tell you another story about that if you got time. But that little incident, it was the last day of the month. And the last day of the month for us Ravens is a hard day to fly because normally what happened was the contracted agencies usually finished maximizing their paycheck by the 29th of June or the 30th of July, next to last day. They reserve religiously the last day of the month to maximize their paycheck. But normally they made up for lost flights due to mechanical or weather the day before. And then a couple of guys, just for patriotic reasons, would go ahead and be airborne. And when we were airborne, but the statistical probability of them being within 6 or 7 miles of us at that time was nil, because there were only 2 or 3 of them, and 7 or 8 of us airborne in various locations throughout the whole country. It was the 30th of June. I had the first go in the morning. I had the last go in the afternoon. We had a new kid who was just brand new with the Ravens. They hadn't flown one single shot yet. Our backseaters wouldn't fly with us on the last day of the month because they said it was bad spirit. If Raven gets shot down, he died. If he died, you die too, bad spirit. And it's like, you know, in the Catholic religion, the old nuns used to teach us that you have a good angel on one side and a bad angel on the other. Listen to the good angel. Well, they have the same thing with spirits. Good spirit, bad spirit. Good spirit goes away. Bad spirit still on your shoulder. Don't do it. Don't do anything. Stay home. Click la. Don't do anything. Bad spirit. So they wouldn't fly with us. Half the airplanes didn't have a back seat stick because they used to use it as a relief tube in flight and occasionally pour it out the window and lose control of it and tumble away. I'll be darned if we're going to land in the middle of the jungle and pick up a piston stick. So half of them didn't have them. And to get in the back seat of the O1 Bird Dog, it's only about that wide. And you got to slide the front seat all the way forward. Uncouple the rudder pedals. Take the stick grip, uncouple it from the floorboard, stow it, get in, put the rudder pedals back up, slide the front seat right to your knees, and you got a little cutout in the seat you sit on. You go ahead and reattach the stick, and that's your environment in the back seat. Not very big. For most of us, right up against our knees. Well, no stick. So I saw no reason to put the rudder pedal back up. In fact, I saw put the other rudder pedal down. Now I can slide my feet underneath the seat, and now I got more room. And this guy was an academy grad, and he's a lieutenant, and I was a captain in the back seat. And so I was just going to go ahead and point out various areas of the country, and thinking that he would go ahead and obey everything I was asking him to do. And see, in Air Force pilot training, they knock it out of you skidding and slipping an airplane, because that's the best way of losing control of a swept-wing fighter is to throw in a whole bunch of rudder in opposite aileron, and poof, off it goes. Especially in that time period with the F4 with its characteristics. So that was one of the ways that we used to go ahead and avoid battle damage. Is you go, when the firing started, you go ahead and slam it with the rudder and opposite aileron, you would fly somewhat sideways, and the gunners on the ground would shoot out over here. And you'd be there when the bullet went by and get you in the wingtip of the tail, and get you in the office space. So that was one of the things we used to do. And so he got us into an ambush. I'm yelling at him, skid it, skid it! He didn't understand what I was saying because he didn't fly gliders in the Air Force Academy and never learned what the hell a skid or slip was. And wham! I got us in the engine. And the aircraft was just shaking away, and I'm looking behind, and there's oil trail, coming back behind, forming at the tail and going off. Man. And he's approaching the saddle at 90 degrees. And I'm thinking, mountain flying, you never approach a saddle at 90, you come at it at 45, because if you're on the lee side and the wind comes down, you're coming 90 degrees, Box Canyon, you can't get out of it. And we're doing it. And I'm watching this ridge just go climbing higher and higher. So I'm like, no. Wham! We hit. Temporal distortion kicks in. My mind's racing a million miles an hour. I'm alive. If I get out of this alive, I'm going to buy something. Boom, 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 boom. We hit again. Aircraft comes to it. Skip hits up the top of the ridge, comes to a sliding stop. Left gear collapses underneath the aircraft, comes to a stop, and left wing is out over the top of about 80-foot drop off. And I'm looking down there. I look up the other way, and there are beads of moisture coming down the way. And we have old tube radios, World War II radios. And all these tubes, half of them are probably busted. The battery's still on, they're red hot. If that gas gets inside, you blow. Gas blows, it doesn't burn like kerosene. And so, turn the battery off. The wing box had collapsed around his head and sort of pinned him in place. He can't move. And he said, I can't reach it. And it was behind the stick grip, and it had two little prongs and a little handle on it. And you just pull it out, and no more electricity, no more problem. Well, I don't smell the gas, I still see the beads. As I say, I flew with a 38, 45, M79, those other rifles, and I took my M79, threw it around in the chamber, flipped it, ripped a whole bunch of my t-shirt off, wrapped it around the barrel, put it up against the side of the brace of the side of the airplane, and blew a hole out that way. I didn't want to blow it that way, but I blew it down in the Canyon Valley. And I took the gun barrel, smacked it until I got a big enough hole I thought I could get through, left all my guns inside, got out through that hole. In the process, I went and just sliced a big, huge chunk of my forehead off, and I'm bleeding like a stuck pig. Head wounds bleed. They're really bad. This one was bleeding pretty darn good. I get around, slipped underneath the aircraft, got around the other side. Adrenaline is a wonderful thing. I quite literally ripped the door off the hinge, grabbed him by the ankles, popped him out like a cork, went back inside, grabbed my guns and classified maps and everything. So I'm sweeping through the cockpit. I had noticed all along there was our nameplate. Registration nameplate. It was mounted with thumbtacks. I didn't know why. Now I know why. Reached up, souvenir. First airplane that crashed in my pocket. Come out of the aircraft. Here are 4 Viet men in June 30th uniforms, coming up the edge of the hill, and their eyes are as big as silver dollars, and they're scared to death. Raven, Peabody. Raven. Ghost, crazy. If they get close to me, they're going to catch it. That's what the word they were saying meant. And I flipped the chamber open, and still to this day smell that cordite coming out of that barrel. Putting it around and flipped it up, pointed toward them. Off the hill they go, running away. And I got 2 minutes to live. They're going to go to the bottom of the hill, tell the commander. Some ghosts are up on top of the hill. Now he's not superstitious. He's going to put the gun to their back. Who's the more immediate threat, me or them? And they'll come up and get us, and it's over. Because there was been no Raven ever survived captivity. And so, out of nowhere comes this U.S. Army helicopter. He's not allowed knocks. He's an Iroquois, it's a Huey. And he's got a Nomex flight suit. And he ain't out here. And he comes into this energy depleting 270-degree turn right over top of our position. This airplane is, the air is just thudding away, and the door opens up. And on board is a time reporter. If this guy knew we were military, he would have got the policy. So, he helps me on board, and the other kid helped him up inside of the aircraft, and off the cliff it goes. And you haven't got transitional lift yet. He's falling. And he gets the aircraft going. Down to the valley floor we go. And this character in the back is, administering first aid to me, putting band-aids over the top of this big flap I got in my forehead, just trying to do anything to staunch the bleeding. And the other kid's still rolling around on the floor. It turns out he busted his back. He never flew again another day in his life. But we didn't know it. This helicopter goes down to Udo and Thai Air Force Base, and they're considerably faster than my bird dog. It would take me about 40 minutes. It took him about 6 minutes. And he gets in there, and on top of the helicopter pad at Thai Air Force Base and the hospital. He lets us off. And this reporter looking around says, whoa, wait a minute. This is military. Are these guys military? Off he goes. So we go in the bowels of the hospital. I'm in the operating room getting sutured up by the flight surgeon, and the other kid's getting his back x-rayed. And his foreman's walking down through the corridors saying, "Hey, is there a Sanderson here? Yo!" He comes in with this big, long telephone line, just the headset receiver, a pigtail. This is before cell phones and before cordless phones, in fact. And he goes, "Here," gives it to him. Who the hell knows I'm here? It's U.S. Ambassador Laos Godley himself. He says, "Sandy, what the hell do you guys just do? Get off that base right now. Get down Tennessee fast. Get your butt up here first thing morning. Tell me what you just did." Slam. Got yelled at, cussed out, hung up, and a one-way conversation that lasted all around 4 or 5 seconds. And I'm thinking, I'm fired. Yeah, it was a good gig. So I grabbed the other kid, and we're walking down the corridor with my guns in a gun-free zone, and I'm clanking away and everything. And in walks the maintenance officer, the parent unit I belong to, 56 Special Operations Wing Detachment 1. And this guy looks at me, "What the hell?" And I gave my guns and reached in, pulled the nameplate, lifted it, and said, "Fix it." And I walked off. I knew I'd get the nameplate back the next day. So we go down to the hotel. The flight surgeon told me my going away party a couple of months later. He says, "After you left, in comes the maintenance officer, wanted to know what was going on." And he told me he landed on Skyline Ridge and said, "Okay, give me a copy of the medical reports. I'll put them in for the Purple Hearts." And as he's leaving the office, in run the ambassador's goons. They take every single sheet of paper they can find on top of any counter, shred them, get rid of my whole medical records are gone. And out he goes out the back door, followed by the time reporter, hot in the trail, these military guys. And the flight surgeon said, "I have a feet up the top of the table, reading a medical journal." And said, where are they? He said, "I don't know who you're talking about." Lost his trail. I got out the aircraft next morning. There's aircraft 718. Nameplate, not another new dashboard, new engine instruments, new tail, new rubber, new engine, new everything. And my guns are in the back seat. So I fired it up, went up the bench in. Now I'm in the Jeep going to the embassy. I'm thinking, how am I going to get out of this? I was in the back seat. I wasn't scheduled to fly that day. It wasn't my, I'm trying to figure out, blame it on someone else, which isn't a credible thing to do, but I'm thinking that way. And I walk into the embassy, and I'm all down, I'm just getting ready to get kicked out. And the attaché comes in, intercepts me in the hallway, pulls me into his office, and says, "You did a good thing." He says, "You kept the nameplate. Cessna doesn't care how many parts we replace as long as we have the forms and the nameplate." He says, "So the ambassador told me to tell you, we'll issue you another aircraft, and when you crash it, we'll reevaluate your record. Now get out of here." So, kept my mouth shut, walked out, got away with this one. I'm back at Luke once again. I get this letter from the 17th Air Force. "Purple Heart denied." Paragraph 2, photo reconnaissance of reported crash site reveals no wreckage. Paragraph 3, aircraft reported an incident was a phase inspection at Uno Thai Air Force Base on that day. Paragraph 4, no further medical reports substantiate your wounds due to enemy action. Of course, the old records were gone. And paragraph 5, by the way, who are you guys anyway? So that was my Purple Heart. And I went to Billy Fong, which is the gold dealer in town, took my checkbook, which had like $683.47 in it, and I said, "Make me a gold band this big." And I wrote him a check out. And that was back when gold was $32 an ounce. And I bought the Rolex from French Council store, and it didn't have a penny in my name after I got the gold band. And just one happy dude. I bought something.
It's probably worth about $200,000.
It's worth more than that memories. I haven't taken this thing off. It's actually expanded. I haven't lost weight. Expanded, and I've taken 2 links out of each side already. It's 20 karat, and it's soft, and it just keeps getting bigger over the years. But I never take it off. I wear it everywhere I go. I had a gold dog tag made up, and this is the way we Ravens were. They said, "If I'm dead or a pilfering my body, F you." They got stolen. Anything else? Dan told the story you heard a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I don't want to be morbid, but the Ravens were
there's still about 45 of us. The book has when Chris Robbins wrote the book, there is no reference to a reunion in the back. And he started attending reunions. Little thing about a reunion. The first one was impromptu, just a bunch of guys who were upset with the Air Force because they got drummed out of service. They were untrainable to U.S. standards and they came back because this was their first assignment, the Ravens. And they thought they could continue their activities the way we did over there and violate every rule in the book and the whole business, and they got drummed out of service in rather sharp and quick manner. And these guys shows up at Randolph Base just because it just happened to be a close place for a drinking spot, and went downstairs to the basement and started raising hell. And they arrived with their ponytails, their Harley Davidsons, and their Edsels with 8-track doors on it. They were in a time warp, you know, still living in the past, in the 70s. And this is like in 84 or thereabouts. And there was a dining in going on upstairs. The Air Force band, playing subtle music, and fineries of the Air Force generals in their mess dress uniforms, their tuxedos, and the ladies in their cocktail dresses. And downstairs we're yelling, you know, screaming Potter Pilot song, "Dear Mom, your son is dead. He bought the farm to take it." You know, we're going through all this stuff, overpowering these guys upstairs. They're getting upset. We go up, they have an intermission. We just happen to have a break. We're up in the upstairs bar. And Greg Wilson has an ability to grow hair. And the Thai ladies, when you go into massage parlors, would shave his chest. And 3 days later, back out again. Growth was a bear of a guy. And he's in the bar right next to Fred Platt, Magnet ass. The guy got shot down 8 times. And they told Magnet that he would never fly again or never walk again. And he showed them wrong. He never flew, but he walked with a cane with a little bit of a limp. But he was he enjoyed the remainder of his life because he had lost it 5 or 6 times before. So he's right next to Growth. They're drinking, you know, toddy, and generals all around him. And Magnet ass Platt used to have his own port made for him, port wine, and had his own cigars with his name embossed in it. And he pulled out a couple of cigars, gave one to Growth. Growth picks it up. Magnet goes ahead and lights him up. Then Magnet puts the cigar in his mouth, unlit, looks at Growth. Growth ignores it for a couple of minutes. Oh, okay. I guess you want me to light it. Yeah. So Growth takes his shirt down, closes his chest, takes a match, torches his hair off. Conflagration going on. Fred goes ahead and lights up the cigar, puts it out. Right in front of all these generals. And so, you know, a couple of these guys were in the know there, and they said, that's just the Ravens. Disregard it. But Chris went ahead and went to our reunions. We had a Catholic priest who used to roam throughout Southeast Asia. His parish, he was assigned to a parish in Bangkok, but he was a missionary. He'd roam throughout the whole countryside, and every time he came through Longchen, where we were located, he would go ahead and bless our meal. And his blessing was, "The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. If that's not a square deal, I'll kiss your ass." He knew his flock very well. Well, he used to attend our reunions, and Chris Robbins had this reunion when he gave the blessing of the meal. And so he thought, this is too good to pass up. He added another section in the book, the reunions. It's toward the tail end, it's after the main part of the book was over. You got to search for it to find it, but it's well worth the read because our reunions today are exactly the same. The Oak Club management at Randolph Air Force Base thought that that was such a neat thing for us to be doing at the same time dining-ins were occurring. They today have a tendency to align our reunions whenever there's a dining-in going on upstairs. And the same difficulties occur. Some general will send his wife down to quieten us down. We'll capture her. She'll stay with us for a half hour. She'll sneak back upstairs, drag her husband downstairs. That's where the action is. And then they come down and party with us, leaving the thing upstairs. We convert everybody. When we were doing this job, we had guys from the embassy hire people for the specific person, being hard-ass guys who would go ahead and clean our act out. 2 weeks, we had flipped them all. They were doing just the same thing we were doing. We had a couple of success stories amongst the Ravens. One guy became the vice or assistant secretary of the Air Force, a 2-star general. Another guy became, was also a general, commandant of cadets at the Air Force Academy, and he went on to become the director, the administrator of the FAA. You talk about getting some ration from us every time he came to a reunion about adherence to rules and regulations. This guy took an untold amount of grief from us in those reunions, but he went along with it, enjoyed it. Unfortunately, he's one of the guys who's no longer surviving. There's 46 of us available for a reunion. Normally about 35 of us will attend every year.
That's pretty good.
It's always in October. It's always in Randolph Air Force Base, in the Augury downstairs. There's some event going on upstairs.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks. I didn't say much about Air America, but
Well, we got
No,
we still have
just gonna
tomorrow.
grab one.